Let's start with a truth that might sting a little. Most women are more interested in the man they can't fully figure out than the one who gives them constant, predictable attention. That's right. In many cases, chasing her too hard doesn't win her over. It pushes her away. Welcome back to Stoic Manhood Guide. Today, we're going deep into female psychology to understand what is really going on in her mind when you don't chase. Because while you might think pulling back means you will lose her for good, the reality is often the complete opposite. Here's the thing. Women are accustomed to being pursued. The compliments, the good morning texts, men bending over backwards just for a shot for an attractive woman, this is normal. It is the baseline. So when she meets a man who doesn't immediately jump into that chase mode, it breaks the pattern. She notices. And that break in the pattern is where her curiosity begins. But let's be clear. This isn't about playing childish games or acting cold for no reason. Here at Stoic Manhood Guide, we don't teach tactics, we teach principles. And the principle here is that genuine attraction is built on a foundation of mystery, self-respect, and emotional balance. Chasing too much kills that mystery and signals a lack of self-respect. But not chasing that demonstrates that you value yourself enough to let things unfold naturally, without forcing an outcome. In this video, we will break down exactly how a woman interprets your lack of pursuit, why it works the way it does, and how you can use this understanding to operate from a position of strength without being manipulative or fake. So, if you've ever wondered whether pulling back is a mistake or a smart move, stick around. You might be surprised at just how powerful your restraint can be. So, let's break down what really happens. When you apply the principle of restraint, you are not playing a game. You are creating a space for the truth to reveal itself. Here are the 7 predictable psychological effects that your lack of pursuit will trigger in her mind. 1. She wonders if you're different from other men. When you stop chasing a woman, or better yet, never start chasing in the first place, you immediately do one powerful thing: you separate yourself from the crowd. Think about the world she lives in. A moderately attractive woman's reality is a constant stream of men operating from a place of scarcity. The second they get a flicker of her attention, they unleash a torrent of effort, hoping to secure her interest before someone else does. They text too much. They compliment too often. They try to lock down the next date before the first one is even over. They invest their emotional energy before she has given them any real reason to. This is the background noise of her life. It is predictable. It is common. And because it is common, it is of low value. So, when you don't play that game, she notices immediately. Your lack of chasing creates an instant, stark contrast. In her mind, a question is sparked, one she doesn't have to ask about most men. Why isn't he all over me like the others? That small spark of curiosity is more powerful than any compliment you could ever give her. It forces her to actively think about you, instead of just passively receiving your attention. It elevates you from being just another guy in her inbox to being a puzzle she needs to solve. And this is where the Stoic principle of authenticity comes in. This isn't about pretending not to care or playing hard to get just for the sake of manipulation. Any woman with a degree of social intelligence can see through that act. This is about truly having a life, goals, and a sense of self-respect that come first. When you genuinely value your own time, when you are actually busy building your empire, your body, and your mind, you are naturally selective about who gets your attention. That energy, the energy of a man with a purpose, is what makes you different. It's not some fake strategy you picked up online. It is the natural result of a well-lived, disciplined life. Women are deeply aware of male behavior patterns. They can feel the difference between a man who is desperate for validation and a man who is comfortable in his own skin. If you are not chasing, it signals one of 2 things to her. Either you are not easily impressed, or you have other options. Both of those realities make you far more attractive in her eyes. And here is the kicker. When you stand out as the man who does not need her validation to feel good about himself, you instantly shift the entire dynamic of the interaction. Instead of her being the prize you are trying to win, she starts to subconsciously consider whether she has to prove herself to you. That is a major psychological flip. And it all starts with the simple, controlled act of not chasing. 2. She tests your confidence. When you don't chase a woman, you are sending a silent, powerful message. I am confident enough in my own value to let this unfold naturally. I do not need to force anything. But here is the thing you must expect: many women will not just take that message at face value. They will test it. They will poke at your frame to see if it is made of steel or of glass. These tests are often subtle, and they are designed to see if you will crack under a little pressure and revert back to the predictable, chasing behavior she is used to. The tests might look like this. She might intentionally delay responding to your text for a few hours, just to see if you will double text or get anxious. She might casually mention another guy in passing, an ex who just texted, or a funny guy from work, to see if you get jealous or insecure. She might act less available than usual, canceling a plan last minute with a vague excuse, to see if you will become needy and demand more of her time. It is not always malicious. It is often a subconscious process. Her instincts are trying to figure out if your confidence is real, or if it is just a fragile act. She wants to know if you will start chasing the second she pulls back her attention. If you have been operating from a place of genuine self-assurance, a core tenet of Stoicism, you will not be thrown off by these tests. You will remain unperturbed. You will keep moving forward with your own life, maintaining the same calm, grounded energy you had from the start. This shows her something that most men never display: emotional stability. But if you see that she hasn't replied and you immediately send a, if you hear about another guy and you start acting insecure or asking probing questions, if she cancels a date and you get upset and demand an explanation, you have just confirmed that your earlier composure was a mask. You have failed the test. And that is when the attraction starts to fade. Women are naturally, instinctively drawn to men who are grounded. Men who can maintain their frame, no matter what external chaos is happening around them. If you don't chase her, and she tries to test you, it is not a sign that you should fight harder for her attention. It is a sign that you should stay steady, maintain your standards, and show through your actions that your self-worth is not dependent on her reactions. The beauty of this approach is that it forces her to see you as a man who is not easily shaken. And in her mind, a man who cannot be easily shaken is a man worth taking seriously. He is a rock, not a leaf in the wind. 3. She starts wondering what's so special about you. When you don't chase a woman, you flip the script of her entire dating experience. You are not acting like most of the guys she is used to. Instead of flooding her with attention, compliments, and constant check-ins, you give her something she rarely receives from an interested man's space. That space creates a vacuum, and that vacuum creates curiosity. And curiosity is a powerful catalyst for attraction. Here is what happens in her mind. She is used to men actively proving themselves to her, trying to win her over, and putting her on a pedestal. Her role is simply to sit back and receive this energy. But when you are not doing that, she is forced to ask a new set of questions. What? Why isn't he acting like all the others? What makes him so different? Does he have better options than me? Is there something about him that I am missing? This is a fundamental aspect of human nature. We place more value on that which is not easily available. If something is handed to us without any effort, it loses its shine. But if we feel like we have to figure it out, or earn it, our interest grows exponentially. By not chasing, you are positioning yourself as the man she has to figure out. And again, this is not about playing games or being manipulative. This is about living in a way where your life is already full. Your attention is a valuable resource because it is allocated to things that matter: your goals, your mission, your own peace of mind. You are not holding back attention as a tactic. You are just genuinely focused on your own path. When she notices that you are not orbiting her, she will start to wonder where your energy is going. She might assume you are busy with your work, your hobbies, or yes, maybe even other women. That mystery. That lack of complete information makes her pay more attention. It makes her invest her own mental energy into the idea of you. The key, however, is to make sure that the version of you she is curious about is authentic. If she peels back the layers of your mystery and finds a man who is genuinely confident, ambitious, and independent, that curiosity will transform into genuine attraction. But if she peels back the layers and finds a man who was just pretending to be busy, a man who was just waiting for her to text, the entire illusion will shatter. In short, when you stop chasing, you are not just pulling back. You are sparking one of the most powerful forces in human relationships, the desire to know more. You become a puzzle, and the human mind loves nothing more than a puzzle it can't immediately solve. 4. She tests your patience and self-control. When you don't chase a woman, she often won't just sit back and accept it, especially if she has some initial interest. She will test you. We've talked about her testing your confidence, but she will also test 2 core Stoic virtues: your patience and your self-control. These tests are not always obvious. Sometimes, they are subtle little behaviors designed to see if you will crack under the weight of her absence and start chasing again. Other times, they are more direct, like her pulling back even further just to see what you will do. Why does she do this? Because she wants to measure your emotional endurance. Most men can keep it together for a short period. They can play it cool for a day or two. But eventually their emotions, their need for validation, will take over. And they will start sending those, "Hey, just checking in" texts, or liking every single post she puts up. The moment you give in too soon, you confirm that you were only holding back as an act. You show her that your patience has a limit, and that limit is defined by your need for her attention. And for her, the game is now over. Women notice patterns. If she senses that you are only patient until you think she might be slipping away, she will know that your restraint was not a reflection of your high value, but a tactic born from your fear of losing her. That is why your consistency matters so much. If you are truly living a life where she is not your sole focus, it should be effortless to maintain that frame. Your patience is not a performance. It is a natural byproduct of your purpose. These tests can come in many forms. Delayed replies that get longer and longer, random mentions of other men, or even flirting with you a little bit, and then suddenly pulling back to see if you will chase that feeling. The whole point of these tests is to see if you can stay centered, if you can avoid getting emotionally rattled, and if you can remain the man who is not desperate for her attention. The real win here is not about beating her test. It is about showing that your internal state, your value, does not change based on how she acts. If you let her behavior dictate your mood, if you get anxious when she is distant and ecstatic when she gives you a crumb of attention, she knows she has complete emotional control over you. But if you remain grounded, if you remain unperturbed, she sees you as a man who cannot be easily swayed. And that is magnetic. Patience and self-control are not just attractive qualities, they are rare. And when you don't chase, you give yourself the opportunity to demonstrate that you possess both in abundance. 5. She starts to re-categorize you. When you don't chase a woman, you trigger a reaction she doesn't get from most men: genuine curiosity. You stand out, you pass her tests, you demonstrate patience and self-control. At this point, a fundamental shift begins to happen in her mind. She is forced to recategorize you, to putting men into simple boxes: the funny guy, the nice guy, the boring guy, and most commonly, the guy who is trying way too hard. But when you hold your ground, when you don't flood her with validation, you defy all of these easy labels. You create a new category in her mind, one that is far more intriguing: the man I can't quite figure out. Imagine this. She is expecting you to be one of the guys who will jump at every opportunity to talk to her. Maybe she even set up a situation, a social media post, a question, where you would have an easy opening to prove yourself to her. But instead of playing into it, you keep living your life. You reply when you can. You are polite and engaged when you do. But you do not bend your schedule or your priorities around her. That difference is what makes her take real notice. The absence of chasing shifts the dynamic completely. You go from being another guy trying to win her to being the guy she is not sure she can win. And that is a powerful position to be in. People, women included, are drawn to things they cannot immediately figure out. When she cannot instantly label you as predictable, she is going to start paying more attention to you, trying to understand your motivations. Here is where it gets even more interesting. She might start reaching out more. She might start initiating conversations. She might even start trying a little harder to impress you. Why? Because now, she wants to earn your attention to validate herself. That is a complete flip from how most men operate. And it is exactly why not chasing changes the entire game. But the key here, as always, is authenticity. If you are not chasing because you are playing some cool guy act you saw online, that act will eventually crack under pressure. But if you are genuinely not chasing because you value your time, your goals, and your own peace of mind, that will show naturally. She will feel that you are not withholding attention as a tactic. She will feel that you just have a full life, and she has to find a way to fit into it, not the other way around. That is when her curiosity turns into genuine, deep interest. 6. She starts respecting your time and standards. When you don't chase a woman, you send a clear, unspoken message that is fundamental to the Stoic way of life. Your time is valuable. And your life does not revolve around winning her approval. This single principle, when demonstrated through action, sets you apart from 99% of the men she will ever encounter. Over time, this creates a profound shift, not just in how she sees you, but in how she interacts with you. Women, and people in general, naturally respect boundaries when those boundaries are enforced without anger or neediness. By not chasing, you are showing her that you have standards for how you invest your time and your energy. You are not just available whenever she snaps her fingers. You are not going to bend over backwards to keep her entertained. That quiet, grounded confidence is something she cannot ignore. Respect often starts where desperation ends. If you are always ready to drop everything for her, she might appreciate the attention at first. But eventually, inevitably, she will begin to take it for granted. It becomes an expectation, not a gift. On the other hand, if you are selective about how and when you engage, she learns to value those moments more. Your attention becomes a prize, not a given. Not chasing does not mean you are cold or dismissive. It means you operate on an equal footing. You communicate. You show interest. But you do not allow her to treat your attention like a free, unlimited resource. The less you give away without her earning it, the more its value increases over time. This will make her interactions with you more intentional. She will start to plan ahead to see you. She will avoid canceling plans without a very good reason. She will make sure that the time you spend together feels worth it for both of you. Why? Because she knows you will not tolerate being treated as an afterthought. This is the point where you stop being one of her many options, and you start becoming the man she feels she needs to rise up to meet. And that is a position of strength and respect that most guys never get to experience, because they give away all of their leverage by chasing from day one. If you hold your line, she will either adjust her behavior to meet your standards, or she will filter herself out. Because deep down, she respects a man who respects himself. 7. You force her to reveal her true interest. When you stop chasing a woman, you do the one thing that most men are terrified to do. You create a situation where her real feelings cannot hide behind polite smiles, vague texts, or playful but non-committal banter. You force her to make a choice. She either steps forward to invest in you, or she fades out of your life entirely. And both of those outcomes are a win for a man who values clarity. Here is why. Chasing keeps her in a comfortable position of control. She never has to decide what she really wants from you, because you are doing all of the work. You are the one keeping the connection alive. She can enjoy your attention, your validation, your effort, without ever having to make a real decision. The second you stop, the pressure is on her. She is faced with a choice. Does she actually want to see you, or was she just enjoying the ego boost you were providing? If her interest is genuine, you will notice it quickly. She will be the one to initiate a conversation after a few days of silence. She will be the one to make concrete plans. She will even start to compete a little for your attention. She will begin to match your energy, or even go above it, because she now feels the risk of losing you. But if her feelings were lukewarm or non-existent from the start, she will stop putting in any effort. The connection will fizzle out, and she will disappear. And you will see it clearly, without having to guess for weeks or months. This is powerful because it removes all the confusion and the mixed signals from the equation. You do not waste your time chasing someone who is not truly invested. You save your time, your energy, and your focus for women who actually want to be in your life. The reality is, women do not let high-value men just walk away. They will either step up to keep them, or they will let them go because they know they cannot meet the standard. When you stop chasing, you become the kind of man who makes her earn his time, not the other way around. And here is the best part. Once you start living like this, you stop fearing rejection. Why? Because you are no longer dependent on her choice to validate you. You are not asking for her approval. You are giving her the chance to prove herself to you. And if she does not take it, you move on without looking back, knowing that you have lost nothing of value. That is when you have truly flipped the script, and trust me, she will notice. Here's the truth that most men don't want to hear. The moment you stop chasing, you find out exactly where you stand. No more guessing, no more decoding mixed signals, and no more wasting your valuable time on someone who might only see you as a backup option. When you pull back, you are not playing games. You are putting the ball in her court. And in that space you see the raw truth of her interest. If she is truly into you, she will step forward. If she is not, she will drift away. Both answers are valuable because they free you from chasing what does not want to be caught. But the deeper shift here isn't about making her miss you. Here at Stoic Manhood Guide, we teach that it's about becoming the man who doesn't need to be validated by her attention in the first place. You focus on your goals, your growth, and your purpose. You make your presence something worth earning, not something you hand out for free. And here is the controversial reality. If your walking away makes her lose interest completely, she never really wanted you to begin with. That is not a loss. That is a filter. If you are ready to operate from a place of strength and clarity, then like this video. Share it with a man who is tired of chasing and ready to build a life that attracts. And of course, subscribe to the channel. Join a community of men who are done with the old script and are ready to live by a code of self-respect. The chase only works for someone who's running toward you too. If she's not, it's time to stop running. Thanks for watching.